also have knoll. Knoll is an isolated peak a few meters high associated usually with highland. Ridges is another way, and it is a strip of highland which is elongate and narrow. The contours run here almost parallel to each other. We also have what we call the col or saddle. A col or saddle is a stretch of lowland which separates two highland areas. The only difference between both of them is that saddle is wider than a col, but they all look alike. Pass or gap is another one here we have, that this is also a col, but it is found at lower parts of highlands. A pass separates two highlands, but at lower levels. Now, we'll try to answer these few questions. This says, what is bearing? Another one here is said, what is the grid reference system? And finally, we have, what are contour lines? Also differentiate between valleys and spurs. We'll take the first one, bearing. Bearing has to do with the direction of one place from another, and it is usually expressed in degrees using the protractor. The second question is, what is the grid reference system? The grid reference system is a system of numbered squares formed by vertical and horizontal lines which are usually shown on map surfaces. And the grid reference system helps to determine the position of a place accurately, and also helps in enlargement and reduction of maps. The horizontal lines are called the northings, while the vertical lines are called the eastings in any grid reference system. Now, contour lines. Contour lines are lines joining places of equal heights or altitudes. And now we're talking about the difference between valleys and spurs. Valleys and spurs. Now, a valley is a lowland between two highlands, whereas spurs are projection of highlands into lowland, and spurs separate one valley from another. Let's talk about settlements. Settlement is a collection of buildings with people living in them. It is a center for human activities and consists of houses, roads, tracks, etc. And there are factors affecting the siting of settlement. So factors favor the siting of settlement in any given area. And these factors include adequate water supply. When there is adequate water supply to cater for the domestic needs of the people and for the agricultural activities in that area, there is the tendency that people will want to live or to pitch their tents in that area or to settle in such an area. Fertile soil is another factor. When the soil is fertile enough to support the planting or cultivation of some crops in an area, there's tendency that people want to settle there in order for them to carry out their farming activities with ease. Land for building. When there is available land, that is suitable for building houses, people will tend to come over to such area, build houses, live in those places, and settle there. Good communication network. This is another factor which favors the siting of settlements in a given area. Defense. Nobody wants to stay in a place that is highly insecure. You see people running and living areas where we have insecurity challenges or security challenges to areas where they can be safe. So if there is if we have a competent defense in an area, such area would favor the siting of settlement. Accessibility. Is it possible for me to come into this area? Is it possible to ride with my car? Is it possible to even trek or use my bike? These are all things to consider before going to settle in an area. Economic activities. And if I settle here, are there chances to involve in economic activities? These are all things that favor the siting of settlement in an area. We also have absence of disaster and administration as other factors which affect siting of settlement in any given area. Now let's look at classification of settlement according to types. We have rural settlement. Rural settlement here is a small settlement containing few people, and it consists also of homestead, hamlet, and village. It has socially homogeneous people which are of the same cultural background. And there are types of rural settlement. We have the homestead. Homestead here is just one compound and usually isolated. It is a one family, residence. We have farmstead. Farmstead consists of 2 or more homesteads. It is usually, dispersed. And we also have another type of rural settlement, which is the hamlet. It is made up of dispersed or nucleated or linear homesteads. It may have shops or schools. And the last one, we have the village. A village may be dispersed, nucleated, or both. It has many homesteads. And there are the functions of the rural settlement include agricultural functions, lumbering, fishing, and small-scale shopping. Let's consider the second type of settlement, the urban settlement. This is a relatively large, densely populated settlement with socially heterogeneous people who have different cultural backgrounds. They have abundance of social amenities and mainly involved in secondary and tertiary activities like manufacturing and construction. And they constitute the seats of administration, and there is high rate of congestion in urban settlement. Types of urban settlements include: one, we have the town, the metropolis, the conurbation, and the megalopolis. Town has several thousands of people, whereas a city has a large town with greater number of people settling there. And the third one, we have the metropolis. The metropolis is a major city, especially the capitals of various states, and it contains some millions of people. For example, we have the Lagos as a metropolis. And now we also have the conurbation, which is another type of the urban settlement. The conurbation is made of several towns joined together. However, each town still maintains its identity. Inasmuch as they come together, their identity is not lost. They still maintain their identity, although they are, like a confederation, they are together. A megalopolis is the last type of urban settlement we'll be talking about. And this type of urban settlement is the largest type of urban settlement that is made up of large cities with several millions of people. Let's look at some functions of the urban settlement. You know, the rural settlement were what we looked at earlier. They carry out lumbering activities, farming activities, and small-scale shoppings. So now, what are the functions of urban settlement? We have the industrial functions, the commercial functions, administrative functions, socio-cultural functions, mining functions, and residential functions. The commercial functions here involve activities like buying, selling, manufacturing of goods, and other major activities. Administrative function also, you know, it is in the urban areas of settlement that we have the seat of administration. Government headquarters and other headquarters are usually located in urban areas. Now let us classify settlement according to pattern. Classification of settlement according to pattern is refers to the ways buildings are being, arranged in any given settlement. And based on this, we have a dispersed or scattered settlement, we have a linear settlement, we also have a nucleated or dense settlement. Now, the dispersed or scattered settlement here is a settlement where the buildings are scattered or far from each other, and it has very few social amenities. From the diagram here, you can see how the buildings are scattered. There's no pattern, no orderly arranged pattern of the building. And the second one, we have the linear settlement. Here, the buildings are located along the routes, and